mechanics.
Yeah.
Or you said that you played a lot of Injustice 2.
I did play a lot of Injustice 2, and I think it's a little bit different for Mortal Kombat 11. You know, there's I think the game is a lot slower now because they removed the run. They didn't remove dashing, but they made it a lot less effective.
Right.
So that I think the characters are a little bit more intertwined with like, footsies as opposed to like rushing down people. So like, you know, being careful with your moves. But I feel like a lot of the moves also push your character forward. So there's still like, you still get that aggressiveness.
Yeah, there's a lot of momentum built into some of the move sets.
Yeah.
I think.
Like the Injustice stuff I was talking about was like the gear that you wear.
Oh,
that was
right.
a huge part of Injustice 2.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
and that's a huge part of this now, right?
So in a way, yes, but it's not like Injustice 2. We actually talked to Ed Boon, and he mentioned that instead of getting one piece of gear and having the stats only apply to that gear, it's like you can customize it. You can figure out what your character wants to look like first, and then say, okay, now I want that hat to have this ability or this stat on it.
Okay, so you have control over both aspects.
Yeah.
the way you
Yeah,
look
so
and the way
you're
you perform.
not tying yourself to like one piece of gear because it has
It does
like,
that thing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But can we talk about some of these more other fatalities too? Because I just keep coming back to them, and I'm just constantly amazed at just what they can come up with. I think that's like still one of the most impressive things to me.
I want to know if they just have one guy that all he does is just think of.
No, I did ask that question though because I think that's like one of the more fascinating things about Mortal Kombat, and I specifically asked him like, yo, how do y'all keep like one-upping yourselves on all this nasty, gory stuff, yo? And it's like, he laid it out for me. He was like, all right, we have a team meeting, we get into a room, and we have everyone bring their ideas. We bring our paper, we write down our ideas on paper, then we present them to the team.
To the class.
I'm like, what is this like? This is like a class presentation on the most like f***ed up thing you can come up with. And he's like, sometimes we tell each other, hey, you know, that kind of crosses the line, but most of the time we have an idea, and then we kind of go from there and kind of build off of that. We'll say, yeah, we'll rip his head off, and then we'll shoot into a chopper, and the chopper will chop his brain off, and then Baraka will eat it. I'm like, yo, Ed Boon, like,
Did you see Bullet Ed Boon?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And
Yeah.
then I followed up by asking, like, do you ever step back and think to yourself, like, man, what am I doing with my life? And he's kind of like, oh, we keep each other in check. We'll make sure we don't go too far. And I'm like, the funniest part is that Ed Boon has such a gentle demeanor. Like, he's such a
That's true.
nice, soft-spoken dude. And then I'm kind of like, you came up with Mortal Kombat? Like, this is your project, man? Like, all right, I feel that.
Fatality.
Beyond the fatalities, they have the fatal blow thing
So yeah,
now?
there's also fatal blows, which are in essence like a finisher. It's not a fatality, you know, at the end of the round. It's more like a super move, basically.
Yeah.
So once you're at 30%, you get the ability to just do a whole bunch of damage with a single move, and they're just as cinematic as fatalities, but you know, they get up at the very end usually.
Yeah, this is sort of like a comeback mechanic.
Yeah.
Which is why they give it to you once you're at like 30% or less health.
Right.
And it does quite a bit of damage, so it is pretty effective as a comeback mechanic. You can only use it once per match.
Yeah.
So you might have to think about when you use it, but I think that it's not tied to any meter. So,
Except for your health. That's the only thing.
Yes, so it's only tied to your health, so you'll get it no matter what. You don't have to worry about expending meter or saving meter for like, oh, maybe I'll need to use the fatal blow later on, but so it's just there for you to use if you need it.
How are you guys feeling about just the game in general? Because I'll be honest, like I was really excited to see more about Mortal Kombat, but now that I'm looking at it, I do worry that like maybe it's too soon for another one.
Really? You think
Yeah,
so?
no, I mean for me personally though, that's why I'm asking what you guys think. But like I feel like Mortal Kombat 10 was really good at what it did and is still probably a pretty viable game. I'm not seeing like hugely like, you know, new things here that are like, oh wow, I can't wait to play Mortal Kombat because of this.
I definitely see that. I think that talking to a lot of people at the event itself, I think that they're seeing a lot more on the granular level in terms of like when you mentioned how movement has changed, how it's a little bit slower, how dashes are kind of tempered back, and how the meters work with offense and defense being separated, so you have a lot more combat options.
Mortal Kombat's a big mainstream series, though. It's not just for the fighting game community.
Right, yeah. And then so when you do have that concern, be like, I'm not really seeing it, I'm like, I kind of agree with you in that sense. So, I mean, I don't know, more brutal bullshit, I guess, is kind of the attracting point, but I mean, the more stuff I paid attention to was like those more granular details, because that's where my headspace is at. But if you were probably watching the presentation and like thinking about like, okay, why would I want to jump into this? You know, Injustice 2 was only 2 years ago. MKX still feels like a new game, even though that came out like a little while ago, like 4 years ago. I do feel you on that like, maybe it's too soon.
I don't think so. I think they've got a good thing going with like the success of Injustice 2, and I feel like they've learned a lot going from Mortal Kombat to Injustice in, as far as like cinematic, like the way they portray their characters, because it's not only, you know, the fighting. There's like Injustice 2 had a really, I would say, it's a really impressive story as well.
Yeah.
So I think they're also going to do that with this. Like one of the main things I feel like they've learned from Injustice was to make sure that this game is a full package, like a complete package with a K, like from the start. Like there are so many fighting games that I feel that have kind of been released bare bones with the idea that, okay, later on we'll add DLC, we'll add like a story mode, we'll add, you know, more fighters, like a season pass, like they lay out this plan before it's even released. Where Mortal Kombat, I feel like they're going to have, Mortal Kombat 11, they will have like a lot to do, like just from the start. And I think that's
the launch product seems like it's going to have a lot to go with it, and I almost forgot about the story stuff. But when I caught up with Ed and I asked him, I was like, okay, like catch me up on what you guys are doing with the story stuff, and he's like, and when I also asked about the lessons learned from Injustice 2, it's kind of like, yeah, we want to bring a more cinematic approach to this because we've had success with it in the past, and Mortal Kombat brings along like I guess not a deep lore, but it has a storied history, I would say, so they can leverage that to create maybe something unique. They have creative freedom with these characters that people have some attachment to, and I think that will show through in this, at least from that seems like their approach. And you know,
they had a cinematic story though for 10.
They did,
right? Like it's not like they haven't done that for the series before. So like, but I also did see a lot of people really hyped for where this is taking lore, what it's going to do with these characters, which I never looked at Mortal Kombat that way. Right. And so now they've got like what, a new villain and time travel.
Chronic? Not Chronic?
Chronica.
Chronica.
Yeah.
The Chronic. Yes.
Here to die again, get us? With each one, your defeat grows closer. It is further than it appears. Round 1. Fight!
Yeah, and then they also have the new character Garrus, who's supposed to be
Sandman, basically.
What? Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, we were just talking about him. He's like a combination of, because he's made of sand and can like do sand moves, but he can also stop time. So he's like Prince of Persia mixed with, you said Thanos mixed with Doomfist, because he kind of looks like him with a big,
he has a big ass gauntlet, and I'm like, is he Thanos? No, it's Doomfist, and we're looking at this, oh, he's a Doomfist, but then he has like, like you said, he controls like sand and a bunch of stuff, so it's like Prince of Persia and time stuff. So that, I think that Garrus as a new character might bring more than you would expect, more than just being a new character, because he's also being weaved into the story, and well, I don't know what's going to come out of that, but yeah, with bringing Chronica and having Garrus as like an ally to whoever that character is, it seems like they have a lot more to work with than like Scorpion and Sub-Zero are going to rivals and they're going to fight each other at this temple or something, so they're trying, I guess.
So more than the original Mortal Kombat, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I would suspect.
I would hope
so.
Yeah, I guess it's really too early to tell anything about the story.
Speaking of Scorpion Sub-Zero, let's watch this.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's cool. Like Mortal Kombat is just takes brutality. It's just a fascinating direction that, like, I mean, it started the government's sort of like wanting to crack down on video games and stuff, and then here we are today, and it's like, no, everyone loves this. This is great. Like, this is what we look forward to.
There's a lot of embracing of that gory style because it doesn't take itself too seriously. It does look.
It doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Yeah,
really. I mean,
not anymore at least.
Yeah.
And it's for the better. Like I
Right.
want it to be like over the top and cartoony.
Yeah,
in a way,
yeah.
because otherwise that should be nasty.
Fatality. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory.
All right, favorite moment from the event?
Ooh,
There was a lot of stuff there.
There was
right?
a lot
Yeah.
of stuff at the event. I think probably my favorite is like this box that they had that people, you could walk into it and then just like smash stuff for a couple minutes. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's covered in blood, but there's just like old equipment in there. They just give you a sledgehammer and you just bash stuff.
Seems very cathartic.
Did they have a booth where someone could just punch you in the face?
They had the fatality room. I didn't know. I'm not sure if this is it, but it sounded like fun.
Fatality. I think it was the photo op that we took.
Fatality.
Maybe that
No,
was
it was
the
a fatality photo.
Oh, okay.
The fatality room was somewhere else where you just die.
Sick. My favorite moment was probably seeing Sonic Fox play.
yeah?
That was kind of, I guess I kind of expected him to be there because he's like the iconic figure of the fighting game community. But I saw him there and I was like, and he was playing Mortal Kombat and like I was following his tweets at the event too because I didn't get to talk to him and he was like kind of breaking down how he felt about the game in comparison to MKX. And I don't know, that was just a really cool thing to see, like this guy who's kind of like blew up as an icon and then like just, you know, seeing him there and working with the game and like talking about how he feels about the game. I thought that was my favorite part. There was
Yeah.
someone custom painting shoes also.
Oh yeah, and you can get a tattoo there if you wanted.
Yeah.
They had a lot of stuff going on.
They kind of went for it.
Yeah.
They broke the bank on this, and rightfully so, just because I can see Mortal Kombat 11 being a pretty big deal when it does come out.
Especially with that $300 edition.
Was it the collector's edition?
With the